Hello, welcome back to Readers of the Lost Art. This is Bobby.
And I'm Rachel.
And today, we're going to tell you a story.
A couple of months ago, last month.
It feels like a long time, but...
Well, it was a couple of months ago that we had decided we were going to go to the Love Yall Book Fest in Atlanta, which we mentioned last time, I think. Mm-hmm. And so in kind of like preparation for that, we were both reading a bunch of authors who were going to be at the festival to try to, kind of get the most out of it. Mm-hmm. And one of the books I picked up was called Dating-ish. It was by Penny Reid. It was number 5 in her Knitting in the City series. And I don't know why I picked up number 5, but that's what I did. So I picked up number 5, and I was so super charmed by it. I just thought it was so delightful that they had this like knitting group, and it felt so warm, and all the characters felt so warm. The writing was warm, and I sent Bobby some messages. I was like, well, this is very fun. And I have kind of an anti-AI stance. I think we both do. And the guy in this book is like an AI guy, and like it overcame my hate for AI to still be like a book that I liked.
And that's really saying something.
It really is. So that is like how I got into, or that was my first experience with Penny Reid. I liked it enough that I wanted Bobby to go and see Penny Reid at the convention festival, whatever it was. Because I was going to like a different meeting with one of my friends.
Because, I was just like, okay, cool, Penny Reid, that sounds great. But then you were like, you read the Lauren Connolly book.
Oh, yeah.
And that unlocked the whole extended universe, which was the reason we were like, okay, now we're listening.
I had read P.S. I Hate You, which I loved, by the way. Like, I thought it was
I read
so
it too.
Good. I think my feelings for it are much stronger and bigger than yours. I love a hot mess character, and the character is like an absolute hot mess, and I love that.
It was very funny when we went, one of the first panels we went to had Lauren Connolly on it, and it was like a mental health in character, like dealing with mental health and romance books thing. And one of the things she started with was that people were annoyed with her character, and you like looked right at me, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I found her annoying. I'm sorry.
You guys just don't understand a hot mess like I do.
I'm like, get it together. I cannot. She's driving me crazy. And she does get it together, by the way, and you should read that book. But
so I really, really connected with that book. So I started doing research on Lauren Connolly specifically. And I was looking into her kind of back catalog, and it was a weird experience looking into her back catalog, because it quickly became clear that like most of her books were kind of like self-published novellas. I think one was called like Secrets of the Selkie, which I do want to read, but I haven't yet. So, but I saw one that I read the description, and it was book 3 of a series, and at the bottom of the description it said it was like set in the Penny Reid universe, and I was like, what is that? What is the Penny Reid universe? And at the time I don't even think I remembered enough to like connect the author of Dating-ish to this Penny Reid universe. And I think I was at your house, and I was like Googling Penny Reid universe, trying to figure it out, and that's when I was like, hey, oh my god, this is like an extended universe, because this is like book 3, and there were 2 other authors who had written in this Penny Reid universe, and like, we found out that the Penny Reid universe is it is what it sounds like. It is the author of the Knitting in the City series. She had several other series. She opened up her world and allowed other authors to kind of like write stories that take place in the universe of her characters. And I think that's where we both
basically
got,
like fan
really
fiction,
invested.
but it's sanctioned, which is crazy, but also really interesting. And the thing you need to know for further context is that we both love lore.
Yeah.
We love a complicated world. We love it when the lore runs deep. We're big lore fanatics.
We'll look for lore that might not perhaps be there.
Right. We will create the lore. If there is no lore, we will make the lore happen. So that was very exciting. Like, what now? There's this whole connected universe. And that's not a thing that I think I'd really seen anybody do before.
Yeah, I feel like she's maybe not, like, can't be the first, but it feels like maybe she is.
Yeah, like maybe in the romance genre, it feels like something that would happen in like sci-fi or fantasy.
Yeah.
But that's fun. And I think that speaks to, see, this is coming from me. I've never read a single Penny book ever. I haven't, not a single sentence have I read, and I'm already a fan. But anyway, so it was that first night you were here. I think you were doing your research, and that's when we were talking about that, and we were making plans. We were like looking at the schedule, deciding, you know, what
panels.
Yeah, what panels we wanted to go to. You were going to another one, and you sent me, you're like, well, you got to go to this one. You got to go to this one with Penny on the panel. And I went, and I was texting you, and I'm like, she's so charming. Like, and at first I thought she wasn't there because she didn't have like her little like name card thing. So I was like, oh no, like it's already all falling apart. But she was there, and she was so delightful, and just just the warmest, coziest vibe, and like so cool and fun. And I'm sitting there, and I know I'm sitting on the end of the row towards the center, and I know that I'm like staring directly at her this whole time. Like, I know that I'm being the creeper.
Other people are talking.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
Penny, it's all for you.
I'm just I felt like I should be like filming a fan cam of her during like her little talk. But it was just so charming and lovely. And I know I texted you, and I'm like, I love her so much. She's so great. And I feel like I might have said, like, what if this is just all we do now? Is we just read Penny books. And then I think it just sort of spun from there.
As our ideas often do. Someone will say a thing, and we're like, okay, well, how can we either make this weirder?
I know. How can we make this
make
so
strange?
Yeah. Actually, usually it's both.
Because we were already, at this point, we already knew that we were going to do Readers of the Lost Art. We'd already been working on, like, the concept art. We'd already been picking out our books. We already knew that a thing we wanted to do was a podcast where we deep dive into a specific thing. And now, available to us was a whole huge thing to deep dive. Like, it, you know, like
Served
the world opened up. Like, it was made for us.
I don't think I have been more excited about a project in like a long time. Like, I'm excited about the other stuff that we're doing, but this is like, I feel like this is going to be our magnum opus. I think this is going to be the mark that we leave on the world.
You know, it's interesting that one of Penny's most famous series is also a spin-off. The Winston Brothers is like the most beloved one, but it is a spin-off of Knitting in the City. So this spin-off podcast spin-off of Readers of the Lost Art will be our like Winston Brothers. So our Into the Pennyverse is going to be our Winston Brothers.
Yeah.
You have to know the deep Penny lore for that to make sense at all.
And you will. After this series, you're going to know everything.
We will.
So anyway, I guess we finished telling the story, and then we can talk about the premise. So I go to the panel. I'm texting Rachel. I'm like, she's perfect and wonderful, and I love her so much.
We're her biggest fans.
We are her biggest fans now. And
sorry to everyone who's actually read her books and been there all along and is like
it's
a
not
Penny
you
Reid fan.
It's us. It's us now. We go out to, there's like a book like seller's table out in the sort of central location of this conference area. So we like immediately go out there, and we're looking for Penny books. And they didn't have very many.
No.
You got one. You got one of the Winston Brothers one, which I think was for one of her.
I got the spin-off of the Winston Brothers.
Oh, you got a Winston Brothers spin-off.
Yes. It's called like Folked, the Folk series.
Oh, the Good Folk series.
The Good Folk series, yeah.
Yes.
You can see how unknowledgeable we are currently. Just imagine here in the next few years. Yeah, it's exciting to look forward to.
I'm a big fan of chronology. I like to go back to the beginning, and I wanted to get a Knitting in the City, and they only had one, and I just scooped that right up. I'm like, this is for me. Didn't realize until later that it wasn't book 1, it was book 1.5. So
which is
that ruined my entire life. But we were determined we were going to go, because they were doing author signings throughout the day, and we fully decided to skip out on a whole panel that I had really, really wanted to go to. Was it the Allie Hazelwood, the fan fiction one that I really wanted to go to? And that was like the only one that I was like really dead set on attending, because I wanted to hear Allie Hazelwood talk about her Raylo history. Like, that was the only thing that I wanted.
That's the only reason I think you even went to this festival.
It is. That was my original, like, I want to go see. And this is coming from someone who's read one single Allie Hazelwood book. So we had decided we were going to skip that one panel that I really wanted to go to, because instead I was going to go get my book signed by Penny Reid. And there was this huge long line. Super long line. We jump in towards the end of the signing time. I've got my book 1.5. And I'm like, well, this is a little silly, but oh well. The time is running short. Like, we have to move on to the next panel, and the line is still super long. And so they're like, well, Penny wants to make sure that she gets to everybody.
Because she's so kind.
She's so kind.
She did not have to do this.
She didn't. So she was like, Penny's going to come down the line, and she's just going to sign everybody. If you want to like chat with her, you can stay in line. But she just wants to make sure that everybody who wants to get the book signed and wants to go to the next panel can go to the next panel. And we're like, oh, wow, that's so kind and great. So she comes down the line, and she's like zooming. She's, signing cards and everything. And they were giving out sticky notes, but for some reason they didn't give us sticky notes. So I was just holding my badge on the book so that she could see like what my name was, and she would like know how to spell it, and it wouldn't have to be awkward and weird. And she comes, and I feel like I might have said something embarrassing to her, but like I was so starstruck. That, like, what else could I do?
This person whose book you've never read.
I've never read her book. And I was fully prepared to be like, okay, first of all, Penny, I've never read any of your books before, but I am your biggest fan. And then, is it okay if I crochet? Like, is that fine? Is that a good enough fiber art for you? I'll switch. But like, just let me know. So as she's like, she had signed yours, and then she was signing mine, and I'm like holding my badge on it. So she kind of has my badge, which I am wearing still, by the way.
Yeah.
And holding my book. And then they come and they're trying to move the line forward. So then she starts moving forward, but she's still got my book and badge in her hands and is just like dragging me across the conference room floor. It was very funny and charming. And she seemed to be like a little awkward about it too, which I think made her more charming. So it was all very lovely, and it was a very fun experience. And I was like, well, I'm a fan for life. Doesn't matter. I'm predisposed to love the books. So.
And then the next day, we prioritized going to the panel that she was moderating over any other panels, because basically each author, I mean, maybe some had more, but it seemed like each author had a panel they were on and a panel they were moderating. And so I had already missed the one that she was on, but I was like, oh no, I'm definitely going to see the one she is moderating, because at most of the panels, the moderators like also answered the questions because they were authors. And so like they kind of talked too. But Penny did not do that because she is a professional. So she was like on her game, an excellent moderator, just, directing questions at individuals, really leading the conversation. It was pretty awe-inspiring. We went to several panels where the moderator was like, okay. And you could like tell that the moderator being good, like really set the panel up for success. Penny really nailed that, and I think
so we're just like, everything she does is so great, so we're just like diehard fans at this point. Over the weekend we started talking about what is the podcast going to be. Obviously we're going to do a podcast, like that's just our thing now. And sort of working out what is it going to be, how are we going to structure it, what are our goals going to be, like what's the end game.
Why should anyone like listen to this with us? Like, why should anyone else, other than just being huge Penny Reid fans, which, everyone should be. We're all going to dive into the Penny Reid universe together. But, what else can we do?
Right. So, what's the plan?
The plan? Should we go over our goals?
Maybe you should tell them what we're going to do first. And then tell them why we're doing it.
Okay. That's one way to do things.
Yes. It's fine.
So we are going to read the books in chronological order.
As in the order they were published.
Yes. There are these spin-off series that are written by other authors.
So Penny starts publishing in 2013. And the first spin-off doesn't happen until 2019.
And as of right now, our plan is to read one a month. With Readers of the Lost Art, as we're going through our 100 Years of Murder, we will be publishing those at kind of the end of the month, and Into the Pennyverse will be published kind of in the middle of the month. I think our publish date is on Tuesday, but I should know that for sure.
It is. It's Tuesday.
Nice. Okay, so in the middle of the month on a Tuesday, you'll get an Into the Pennyverse episode, and at the end of the month on Tuesday, you will get an 100 Years of Murder episode.
Until the 100 years are over.
Which, since it's actually 120 years of murder, it'll be in 12 months.
Yeah.
We'll take our season 1 break.
Yes.
So these are going to be kind of ongoing concurrent projects. And we were talking about this a lot too in the car, like why do this when we're doing the other one? And, murder mystery is like a really fun genre, I think. But right now the world's kind of a dark place. There's a lot of bad things happening. And so it's kind of nice to balance the 100 Years of Murder with a nice, like, romance that the thing about a mystery is that it's going to be solved at the end, and that's really comforting. And the thing about a romance is that they're going to be together at the end, and that's very comforting. So they do have that kind of like similarity. There's going to be some sort of satisfying ending at the end of them. But I think with romance, I said in our introduction to Readers of the Lost Art that like my comfort read right now is romcoms. Like I just... It makes me feel better to read a rom-com, and not in like I'm putting my head in the sand sort of way, just like in a way that it's like, it's nice that something can be nice.
Yeah. It's sort of a congratulations, you made it through this day. Now you can unplug and just be part of something pleasant for a little while.
And I think the Pennyverse is so well suited to this because it is so warm. Like even the kind of concept at the start, like this is a knitting club. Like it already you just feel like you've got your cozy knit blanket already wrapped around your shoulders as you like sit down to go in. So I do think this is like a really, like, it's a good thing for what's happening in the world.
One of Penny's next books that's coming out is from a new series called the Franklin Fiber Farms series. And on her panel that I was at, she was talking about research that she was doing about alpacas and llamas. And it was just so fun watching her talk about just this weird random thing that she was just suddenly super into, because she was talking about how for research purposes, she was visiting, alpaca farms to look into, how that works and the process of the making of the yarn and all of that. And I'm like, I just don't know if I can think of anything that is cozier than a farm where they make like wool. Like they're harvesting wool because it's like a no-kill kind of situation. So you don't have to worry about, she fell in love with this one cow, but now we have to murder the cow. Yeah. So I'm just like, it just sounds very idyllic. And that is what I need right now.
Right.
And what we may continue to need for years in the future.
At least 4.
At least 4.
I don't know if we said this on the intro to Readers of the Lost Art, but there were several people at the panel who said that dystopian was going to be the next big thing. And I just feel so strongly that is incorrect, because the last thing I want to do right now is read a dystopian. I'm living in a dystopian. I don't need to read a dystopian. I can just look at the news. So.
And we're back. You didn't know that we were gone. Well, we are back.
We're back, fresh-faced, ready to go.
Yes. So if we sound slightly more alive than we did last time, it's probably just because we are a little more alive. So,
and by last time, she means 10 seconds ago, just to clarify.
It hasn't been 2 weeks. Not a little bit. It hasn't been 2 weeks. Okay, so we are talking about our goals. So what are the goals that we are hoping to achieve? We have a set of goals. Some of them are public and some of them are not public, and you'll never know what they are.
Well, never say never, but
listen, if we get to the final goal, that will be amazing.
You will know the goal when we've reached the goal, because if we reach the goal, you're going to see us dancing in the streets. You'll be so.
Oh, the whole world will know. It will be so fantastic. So goal number 1 in reading all of these books and all of the extended universe books is that we are going to become the keepers of the Pennyverse lore. We are going to surpass Penny herself in being the keepers of the lore.
We will be the Reid Wiki.
Yeah. There is apparently a Reid Wiki that exists.
We're going to be the, sorry, I should have capitalized the for you. We're going to be the Reid Wiki. There's another one, but we're the Reid Wiki.
We will become the source. That's the goal number 1. Goal number 2 is that we're going to create I'm not going to say the, because that feels presumptuous, but we're going to create a chronological reader's guide that incorporates all of the extended universe books into the primary universe, the original universe. It's possible that one of these exists, but I couldn't find it, so.
We did discover that there is a Penny Reid fandom name already. They are called Reiders, spelt Reid.
Which is
very, very good.
It's very fun. Yeah.
So we're going to create the Reader's Guide. Let's see.
Yes, we are.
Very good.
Nice. Goal number 3 is that, I don't know, goal number 3 and goal number 4 might be slightly out of order. Or goal number 3, as we have written it, is that we want to make Penny aware of the podcast, of the endeavor.
You shouldn't tell her about it yet. Like, if you're a Penny Reid fan,
not yet.
Because we're not good enough. We're not ready for Penny Reid.
You're going to have to let us marinate a little more, bake a little more, cook a little more before we're ready to be revealed to the wide world of Penny. So if you happen to know her, can you keep it to yourself for just a minute, please? Thank you so much.
Wait until this is good. And then reach out.
Not that it's ever not going to be good, but it is not cooked yet. It's not done. It's not finished. And then goal number 4 is that we want to, once we are the keepers of the lore.
So we've read all of the Pennyverse books
that have been published, and she's really churning them out, y'all. So this might take a while, but our goal is to write and submit our own Smarty Pants extended universe book. Doesn't have to get accepted, but we will write it.
Right. And we don't know what that book's going to look like because we're not keepers of the lore yet. So
we're not the keepers of the lore. So we're going to work on that first.
No previews, no spoilers. We don't have anything. Just
it doesn't exist.
Are going to do it.
Right. Right now it's just a twinkle in our eye. So we're going to work on that. That's the long-term goal. We do have a short-term goal, which is that we are going to be writing our own kind of fan fiction, self-insert fan fiction. Actually, it's going to be a couple different ones because of just how many Penny books there are in the way that we have structured this particular endeavor. But we have created a Pennyverse deck builder romance game. I feel like those modifiers are all out of order, but I can't make them better, so we're just going to go with it. Yeah, it's a word salad of modifiers, but it is a game, and it is Pennyverse deck builder romance.
If the people don't know what we're talking about, we barely know what we're talking about, so that's fine. It's fine.
Welcome to the club of just being generally confused. So we do have some, I suppose I should have had that pulled up, but
I've got mine pulled up.
Oh, good. You can take over then, because I don't want to deal with pulling that up.
Horrible. Okay, so the game is that we are the main characters of this rom-com. So we are each our personalities and our ages and our appearance. We are who we are. We can change our situations and our circumstances, but that's who we are. And we have started with 6 characters, and then each of us have been given a random number of additional characters we can have. You're supposed to roll. We
rolled a D10.
Yeah, and we've already done that.
For my D&D lovers out there, I'm not one of you. I'm an appreciator, but not a lover.
I'm a lover. So we'd use a D10, and we'll get into what I have later. So we've got our characters.
Yeah.
And then we are rolling for our tropes as well. We've divided our tropes into several categories, and we get to roll to determine how many tropes we can have. So we're picking those tropes, one trope per category. We're rolling a D4.
Right. The categories I have been divided up into relationship based. So what type of relationship do the main characters have? They are setting based. What sort? Where are we? Are we in a small town? Are we on a farm? Are we on a tropical island? They are character based. So what sort of characters are your main characters? So are we going to be an office romance sort of thing? Are we going to be a Grumpy Sunshine sort of thing? And then they are plot based. So plot events that occur. So road trip, only one bet, a bet, amnesia, things like that. So they're divided up into categories, and we rolled a D4 to determine how many categories we can choose one from. So at the start of the game, you can have a max of 4 tropes that you have to incorporate in your story, but there is a way that we can plug some more in there as we go, which we'll talk about.
And we also rolled for our genre. We rolled a D12, so our genre has been given to us. I mean, they're all
romance plus a secondary genre.
Yes. So we've got all of our setup. After reading each book, we have to choose a character from the book to add to our deck or our story.
So the character is going to feel kind of like casting an actor in a role is sort of how it works. We've picked these specific archetypes that we want in the story, like the hot mess, the himbo, the nosy neighbor. And then we're going to pull characters from the Penny Reid books to play that role in our story.
And we'll put a complete breakdown of what character archetypes we're using on our social media, so you can kind of see what we're doing. But we're not going to go over them because I have a lot. So I don't feel like reading all of them.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, I rolled a 6. So I have a total of 12 characters plus me, so that's 13. The characters that I have picked for my story is, I have the love interest, of course. The love interest is that's a given. And as far as what the love interest is going to be, I haven't decided that yet. But I have a himbo, a jack of all trades, a free spirit, a work bestie, a past enemy, a perfect sibling, an overbearing parent, quirky townsperson, an unapproachable idol, a wise mentor, and a nosy reporter are the character archetypes that I'm kind of going with this time. My genre is a paranormal romance. I have 2 tropes right now. I'm going to do the small town, and I'm going to do the found family. I have 2 separate premise ideas that I'm kind of bouncing around in my brain trying to decide. So the first premise idea is that I will return to a small southern town. So I'm kind of trying to stick with places that I know that are familiar to me. So the small southern town is very familiar to me. I think it's going to be a place either where I was raised or somewhere that I visited a lot as a child. So I have a lot of personal history tied to this place, but I've been gone for a long time. Right now I'm thinking that I have inherited a house from my grandparents. The idea is that I'm really wanting to start fresh. I think that I'm going to be trying to get away from overbearing parents, the perfect sibling, feeling like the failure of the family, and just wanting to go somewhere else and start fresh and leave all of that behind. So I'm going to get a job. I'm thinking a library. something book related. I don't want to go teacher. I am a teacher, so I don't really want to go teacher, but I want to do something that's like in my interest. Maybe like a book, maybe a bookstore instead of a library, or like a gift shop or something like that. So I'm going to get it like a job, and either the house that I have inherited from my grandparents appears to be haunted, and so I have to kind of deal with that. And like I am right. So I'm thinking that that's where the found family aspect is going to come in, where I'd have to, like, the rumors will spread and like I'll have to recruit different people to come like help me out with this situation. Or this one is the one I thought of that was my original plan, but then I thought of this other one. I was like, well, that one could be fun. So my other thought is, what if somehow like a rumor spreads that I am like an exorcist? Like, if everybody knows that my grandparents' house is like super haunted, but I'm like living there happily, and even though there is like no ghost, perhaps like rumor spreads that like, oh wow, she's an exorcist, she can get rid of ghosts, and so the townspeople start like asking for help, like, hey, can you come? I feel like, you know, this back bedroom is haunted. I need you to come like exorcise the ghost or whatever. And so I'm thinking that could be fun, where now I've got like a monster of the week kind of a situation where the townspeople are like begging for my help. And I'm like, but I'm not an exorcist. I don't know how to do it. But they're like, no, you need to come. You're just being modest. You need to come like fix this problem. And then I can do sort of a running into a situation where, is there actually a ghost here?
I
like,
love
things
is
are
there
weird.
actually a ghost?
Yeah, like things are a little strange here, and I don't know how to fix it. And so I'm thinking that I'll have like a little crew of people. I think the himbo, the jack of all trades, the free spirit, and the work bestie, and the past enemy are going to be part of my found family group. Possibly also the unapproachable idol, who may switch out with the jack of all trades. I might make the jack of all trades just like a townsperson that we like call on to help us with stuff. I don't know. So it's going to be one of those two. I feel like the first one would probably be simpler, with just the house appears to be haunted and I don't know what to do about it. And so I'm having to recruit people to come like help me out with this ghost situation. But I feel like the second one would be more fun.
Did you watch the K-drama where she was like a real estate agent but could like...
I did with Jung Nara. Yeah, I did watch that.
That one was
I thought
fun.
it was fun. It was a little bit disappointing how it
ended.
Played out.
I don't remember the end. I just remember thinking that the concept was very fun, and like
I did like the concept.
Episode.
It reminded me of, what was that one with it was the monkey god. It was like they were supposed to be like the gods, and there was the girl with the umbrella and she could see ghosts, and she becomes the real estate agent and is like casting out the ghost, and she's the only one that could sell them. What's it called? Oh, A Korean Odyssey.
Yes. So my story is not as fleshed out as yours. You know this. But when I was rolling, I rolled a fantasy, which I don't really read. So
I'm the romantasy person. That's my genre.
So, already really like setting myself up for heartache and hardships. And then when I was like rolling my characters, I rolled the max. So then I had to have like all of these characters. So what I've decided to do is a fantasy road trip. So we're doing a fantasy road trip. I've decided that my kind of magic system, like in this world, there's like magic pigments. You can use different plants to make these pigments, and then you paint the magic. So there are different paintings create different magical effects. There's like different classes of paint. So like if you're very rich, you can buy the best paint, which will cast the best spells and give you the best effects from the spells. So all of the people are using these pigments, and they're running low on the pigments. So we're starting to transition back into my wheelhouse, which is fighting against capitalism and exploitation of resources. So they've exploited all of the natural resources, and they need a new source. And we have the people who are like, no, we're going to keep mining for oil and we're going to use fossil fuels. We're going to ruin this planet. But, it's paint magic instead. And then you have the other side who's like, no, we need to find like new sources of paint magic. We need to figure out a way to live without our paint magic or get a different paint magic. Like, we have to do something else because what we're doing is not sustainable. So this fantasy rom-com is going to be about fighting capitalism and figuring out a way to create a sustainable environment. And those are my passions. So we're back in my wheelhouse. My trope that I'm working with, I only got to pick one trope. I had to pick 17 characters and one trope. So the trope that I decided to do, since I'm having so many characters, is a road trip. So it's a fantasy road trip. They're going to go and we're going to be meeting a bunch of different people. And like I said, I have so many characters that I will not be walking us through all of them. I'll just make a list, but
as we meet them, we can be introduced to them.
So we're going to be updating this story every week. We're using a 20-chapter traditional storyboard that's basically the hero's journey. And so each week we're going to pick our character, and we're going to update the story according to this storyboard that we're using. That way you guys can keep up with like our stories and how they're developing.
And then after 20 episodes, we will finish our stories and start over with a new one.
I should say, though, that I don't think either of us are writing like scenes and dialogue. It's going to be like a little summary of what happened.
I might have a couple that, like, if I feel very inspired, I might have a little bit of dialogue sprinkled in there.
Maybe we can share those on our Patreon, our new Patreon that you'll hear about soon. Patreon.
Yes.
We didn't mention that the characters can't be used twice. So we're picking these characters, we're casting them from the Penny Reid universe. But if Bobby picks a character that I wanted, I cannot have it. Even if that character appears in a later book, like that character belongs to Bobby, and I can never have it unless we roll on one of, like, we have a table where we can like make things happen. And I don't even know if that's one of the things we can make happen because I don't remember.
It is.
Oh, nice.
It is. There's a reincarnation perk that you can get where you can revive a character that has been murdered to put them in your story.
So, we can shake it up a bit, but we're otherwise limited. That sentence got away from me at the end. So however I was going to finish it, just, feel it in your heart. I don't know.
So anyway, I will say again, I hope that you will join us and that you will play along and read the books, and feel free to write your own story and post can people post on Patreon? Like, if we do,
they can comment. So if we post our stories, they can comment their own.
Yeah.
So we'll do that.
All right. So when we post updates to our stories, feel free to update us on yours as well.
And we will also put the kind of like rules that we are using on the Patreon, and that way you can use them if you want. You can rules too. We're not really.
Yeah. Do what you want. Have a good time. We will be back in 2 weeks. With our first Penny book, and the very first Penny book is Neanderthal Seeks Human.
Yes.
So if you haven't read it, or you haven't read it in a long time, we invite you to join us, read the book. Penny has them all on her website. You can download them there.
You can also listen to the audiobooks on Spotify, right?
The audiobooks are also on Spotify, so if you get Spotify Premium, they're all there. Like, I think every single one of them is there.
So that's a great budget-friendly option for you.
If you're an audiobook person, that's a good thing. So to wrap up, let's talk about what we are currently reading. Besides Penny, of course.
We're always reading Penny. I am currently reading, as you know, I only read one book at a time. So I'm reading Right on Cue by Falon Ballard, and it is fun rom-com with like some Hollywood, like it's a movie set, and it's a screenwriter and the actor that's acting in her movie. So it's a really fun setup, and it's pretty cute. I'm almost done with that, and when I'm done with it, my next book is the Pennyverse book, Neanderthal Seeks Human. But after that, I'm going to read the book that you're currently reading, I think. So what is that? Yes. I've forgotten the title.
So my current book is My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about it. A lot of thoughts and feelings about it. It's fun. It very campy, and I feel like leaning into the camp is the only way that this book is good for me. So I did just finish Funny Story by Emily Henry.
I read that and I loved it. Though the ending upset me a lot.
Yeah, it's very, very good. It's very, very cozy. Like, I just loved being in that world. Like, I was like, should I move to Michigan? Like, is that a thing I should be thinking about? Because it just it sounded so lovely. And I really liked the characters. And I just love a cozy world.
The thing that I remember about that book, because I read it a while ago, is that I remember that it made me laugh out loud. And I do feel like that's very uncommon when I read rom-coms. Like, they're, you know, kind of like it's kind of funny, but it's not like I'm literally laughing out loud. And I remember there were like several lines that actually made me laugh. So Funny Story is actually quite funny.
Right. Yeah. The female main character is actually, like, she's got a good sense of humor. And that's kind of rare, weirdly. Like, I feel like sometimes authors will write these characters and the other characters in the universe will be like, oh, you're so funny. And I'm like, but they're not, though. Like, this is not hitting for me. This doesn't feel funny to me. But I do feel like that one was actually funny. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoy, please subscribe to the podcast and also leave us a review.
If you have any questions for us, you can email us at readersoftheLostArtPod@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Blue Sky at ReadersPod and on Instagram and Threads at ReadersOfTheLostArtPod.
If you would like to hear more from us, you can receive our free weekly newsletter by joining our Patreon, Readers of the Lost Art. It will have news, behind-the-scenes content, and our reading books.
We'll see you next time. Be the light.